A well-known magician of the Middle Ages was Dr. Johann Faustus, more commonly known as Dr. Faust. By a study of magical writings he was enabled to bind to his service an elemental who served him for many years in various capacities. Strange legends are told concerning the magical powers possessed by Dr. Faust. Upon one occasion the philosopher, being apparently in a playful mood, threw his mantle over a number of eggs in a market woman's basket, causing them to hatch instantly. At another time, having fallen overboard from a small boat, he was picked up and returned to the craft with his clothes still dry. But, like nearly all other magicians, Dr. Faust came at length to disaster. He was found one morning with a knife in his back, and it was commonly believed that his familiar spirit had murdered him. Although Goethe's Drive, Faust is generally regarded as merely a fictional character, this old magician actually lived during the 16th century. Dr. Faust wrote a book describing his experiences with spirits, a section of which is reprinted below. Dr. Faust must not be confused with Johann Faust, the printer. Extract from the Book of Dr. Faust, Wittenberg, 1524. An abridged translation from the original German of a book ordered destroyed. From my youth I followed art and science and was tireless in my reading of books. Among those which came to my hand was a volume containing all kinds of invocations and magical formulae. In this book I discovered information to the effect that a spirit, whether he be of the fire, the water, the earth or the air, can be compelled to do the will of a magician capable of controlling him. I also discovered that according as one spirit has more power than another, each is adapted for a different operation and each is capable of producing certain supernatural effects.
After reading this wonderful book, I made several experiments, desiring to test the accuracy of the statements made therein. At first I had little faith that what was promised would take place. But at the very first invocation which I attempted, a mighty spirit manifested to me, desiring to know why I had invoked him. His coming so amazed me that I scarcely knew what to say, but finally asked him if he would serve me in my magical investigations. He replied that if certain conditions were agreed upon he would. The conditions were that I should make a pact with him. This I did not desire to do, but as in my ignorance I had not protected myself with a circle and was actually at the mercy of the spirit, I did not dare to refuse his request and resign myself to the inevitable, considering it wisest to turn my mantle according to the wind. I then told him that if he would be serviceable to me according to my desires and needs for a certain length of time, I would sign myself over to him. After the pact had been arranged, this mighty spirit, whose name was Astrath, introduced me to another spirit by the name of Marbule, who was appointed to be my servant. I questioned Marbule as to his suitability for my needs. I asked him how quick he was, and he answered, as swift as the winds. This did not satisfy me, so I replied, "You cannot become my servant. Go again whence you have come." Soon another spirit manifested itself, whose name was Anagel. Upon asking him the same question he answered that he was swift as a bird in the air. I said, "You are still too slow for me. Go whence you came." In the same moment another spirit by the name of Asiel manifested himself. For the third time I asked my question and he answered, "I am as swift as human thought." "You shall serve me," I replied. This spirit was faithful for a long time, but to tell you how he served me is not possible in a document of this length, and I will here only indicate how spirits are to be invoked and how the circles for protection are to be prepared. There are many kinds of spirits which will permit themselves to be invoked by man and become his servant. Of these I will list a few. Asiel, the mightiest among those who serve men. He manifests in pleasing human form about 3 feet high. He must be invoked 3 times before he will come forth into the circle prepared for him. He will furnish riches and will instantly fetch things from a great distance, according to the will of the magician. He is as swift as human thought. Anagel, serviceable and most useful, and comes in the form of a 10-year-old boy. He must be invoked 3 times. His special power is to discover treasures and minerals hidden in the ground, which he will furnish to the magician. Marbule, a true lord of the mountains and swift as a bird on the wing. He is an opposing and troublesome spirit, hard to control. You must invoke him 4 times. He appears in the person of Mars, a warrior in heavy armor. He will furnish the magician those things which grow above and under the earth. He is particularly the lord of the spring root. The spring root is a mysterious herb, possibly of a reddish color, which medieval magicians asserted had the property of drawing forth or opening anything it touched. If placed against a locked door, it would open the door. The Hermetists believed that the red-capped woodpecker was specially endowed with the faculty of discovering spring root, so they followed this bird to its nest, and then stopped up the hole in the tree where its young were. The red-crested woodpecker went at once in quest of the spring root, and, discovering it, brought it to the tree. It immediately drew forth the stopper from the entrance to the nest. The magician then secured the root from the bird. It was also asserted that because of its structure, the etheric body of the spring root was utilized as a vehicle of expression by certain elemental spirits which manifested through the proclivity of drawing out or opening things. Asebel, a mighty ruler of the sea, controlling things both upon and under the water. He furnishes things lost or sunk in rivers, lakes, and oceans, such as sunken ships and treasures. The more sharply you invoke him, the swifter he is upon his errands. Machiel comes in the form of a beautiful maiden, and by her aid the magician is raised to honor and dignity. She makes those she serves worthy and noble, gracious and kindly, and assists in all matters of litigation and justice. She will not come unless invoked twice. Beruel, the master of all arts. He manifests as a master workman and comes wearing an apron. He can teach a magician more in a moment than all the master workmen of the world combined could accomplish in 20 years. He must be invoked 3 times. These are the spirits most serviceable to man, but there are numerous others which, for lack of space, I am unable to describe. Now, if you desire the aid of the spirit to get this or that, then you must first draw the sign of the spirit whom you desire to invoke. The drawing must be made just in front of a circle made before sunrise, in which you and your assistants will stand. If you desire financial assistance, then you must invoke the spirit Asiel. Draw his sign in front of the circle. If you need other things, then draw the sign of the spirit capable of furnishing them. On the place where you intend to make the circle, you must first draw a great cross with a large sword with which no one ever has been hurt. Then you must make 3 concentric circles. The innermost circle is made of a long narrow strip of virgin parchment and must be hung upon 12 crosses made of the wood of cross thorn. Upon the parchment you must write the names and symbols according to the figure which follows. Outside this first circle make the second as follows. First secure a thread of red silk that has been spun or twisted to the left instead of the right. Then place in the ground 12 crosses made of laurel leaves, and also prepare a long strip of new white paper. Write with an unused pen the characters and symbols as seen on the second circle. Wind this latter strip of paper around with the red silken thread and pin them upon the 12 crosses of laurel leaves. Outside this second circle make a third one which is also of virgin parchment and pinned upon 12 crosses of consecrated palm. When you have made these 3 circles, retire into them until at last you stand in the center upon a pentagram drawn in the midst of the great cross first drawn. Now, to ensure success, do everything according to the description, and when you have read off the sacred invocation pronounce the name of the spirit which you desire to appear. It is essential that you pronounce the name very distinctly. You must also note the day and the hour, for each spirit can only be invoked at certain times. While the black magician at the time of signing his pact with the elemental demon may be fully convinced that he is strong enough to control indefinitely the powers placed at his disposal, he is speedily undeceived. Before many years elapse he must turn all his energies to the problem of self-preservation. A world of horrors to which he has attuned himself by his own covetousness looms nearer every day, until he exists upon the edge of a seething maelstrom, expecting momentarily to be sucked down into its turbid depths. Afraid to die, because he will become the servant of his own demon, the magician commits crime after crime to prolong his wretched earthly existence. Realizing that life is maintained by the aid of a mysterious universal life force which is the common property of all creatures, the black magician often becomes an occult vampire, stealing this energy from others. According to medieval superstition, black magicians turn themselves into werewolves and roam the earth at night, attacking defenseless victims for the life force contained in their blood.